Hello and welcome to Let's Argue with Jay Playhard. I am your host, Jay, and today we've got a lot to talk about in the world of sports as a lot of things kind of transpired since the last I spoke with you all. First and foremost would probably be the WNBA draft as sensation Caitlin Clark goes number one overall to the Indiana Fever, teaming up with Aaliyah Boston. Stanford power forward Cameron Brink went number two to the Los Angeles Sparks, while center Camila Cardoza and Angel Reese will team up in Chicago, going number three and seven, respectively. Rounding out the top five would be Rakia Jackson from Tennessee. She also goes to the LA Sparks, and Ohio State shooting guard JC Sheldon, who goes to the Washington Mystics. Now, moving on to the NBA, this is where we're going to spend a lot of the episode this week as the final day of NBA action happened last night. We know who's going to be in that play-in games for both the Eastern and Western conferences. We're going to kind of go over those one by one, if you will, and bear with me because we're going to go through all of the playoff matchups today. So starting off tonight's game, this is Tuesday, April 16th, 2024. So starting with tonight's Western Conference slate, it's going to be the number 9 Kings versus the number 10 Golden State Warriors. No Malik Monk or Kevin Herter tonight for the Kings, so they're going to be stretched pretty thin offensively between Fox and Sabonis. I do expect the Golden State Warriors to cover the 2.5 point spread as well as win the game. So I'm going Warriors in this one to move on in the play-in round. Now, going on to the Lakers versus Pelicans in a matchup of Zion Williamson versus LeBron James, old guard versus the new guard, if you will. In this game, the Lakers are 3-1 against the Pelicans this year, including that beat down just a few nights ago to kind of settle this seeding for the last day of the season. The winner will take on the number 2 seed Denver Nuggets, who many believe are the favorite to repeat as champions, but I've got the Lakers in this one at the even odds. Take with it what you must. On the east side, we've got Philadelphia versus my Miami Heat. My Heat, we are a 4.5 point dog to the 76ers, who got back Joel Embiid recently. Now, I'm gonna say this. The 4.5, I think we're gonna cover the 4.5. I think this is gonna be a closer game than people think. Miami, we tend to elevate our play around this time of the season, and I expect the Miami Heat to win this game. So I'm making a homer pick, taking the number 8 seed Miami Heat to defeat the Philadelphia 76ers. The last game on the slate for tomorrow night in the East will be Chicago, who is a 3.5 point favorite, versus Atlanta. Atlanta's been kind of up and down all year. We know that the Murray uh, Trey Young pairing has not lived up to what Hawks fans would have liked. But, I'm going to take Chicago in this game. I'm going to take them with the spread against them. So, we're going to take that money line as well. But moving on to some of the matchups that are already set. We're going to start off in the East here because I just saw this morning that the Bucks are preparing for a playoff run without Giannis. They're going to be matched up with the 6 seed Pacers. Excuse me, in round one, and this is a dangerous series for the Bucks, especially without your best player, your MVP, if you will. The Pacers, they can score a lot of points. Halliburton, we know, is coming off of the injury, but he is getting back to form. And I'm predicting without Giannis, the Pacers are going to take this in 6. I think they just have too much firepower for Giannis not to be out there. Um, Moving on to the 4 versus 5 matchup, that's going to be the Cleveland Cavaliers versus the Orlando Magic. We know the young Magic, they've had a great season. They've had an awesome season. To be so young and to be a playoff team already, Paolo Banchero in his second year becoming an all-star. But I think this is kind of where their season is going to come to an end. They're going to face a Cleveland team who is very good on both ends of the floor, and they're healthy. Um, Cleveland, led by Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley and these guys, I think it's just going to be a little too much for Orlando to handle in that first round. I'm picking the Cleveland Cavaliers in a sweep. Now, moving on to the West in the 3 versus 6 matchup, we've got one of the more entertaining matchups of the first round with the Minnesota Timberwolves taking on the Phoenix Suns. Now, you've got the Suns with the three-headed monster of Beal, Durant, and Devin Booker. They're one of the best offensive teams in the league. You look on the other side of this, though, you've got Minnesota led by, my guy, Ant-Man, Anthony Edwards, as well as Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert. They're one of the best teams defensively in the NBA. So you've got two juggernauts matching up here, an offensive force, a defensive force, and I think it's going to be the Phoenix Suns who win this game. They've kind of had Minnesota's number all year long, and it seems to be working out late in the season for the three-headed monster. Beal, Durant, Booker, they're starting to figure it out. They did have a 8-2 run towards the last 10 games of the season to even make the 6 seed and not have to worry about the play in. But I think Phoenix is one of those dangerous teams out there that you can see make a run possibly to the Western Conference Finals. Now for the final matchup that's already decided, you have the Los Angeles Clippers versus the Dallas Mavericks. Luka Doncic and Kyrie, they've been great this season. Then you add some of those midseason moves that the Mavericks made up front to help their front court, and I think it's worked out well for them. On the other end, you've got the four older stars with Leonard, Paul George, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden, but they've been playing well all season long. This is what they've come together for to make a deep run into the playoffs. This series is going 7 games. I truly believe that. I think the styles match up well. You've got this veteran team that know how to win. Kawhi Leonard, he's won 2 championships. Paul George has had deep playoff runs. So has Russ. So has James. And I think when you get up there in years, you start realizing that we've only got a few more years at this prime level. We got to get it together. And I think the Clippers, they have the mindset and they will pull it off in 7. I know Dallas is everyone's darling and their offense is rolling, but I think those vets, they're going to pull it together and they're going to take it in 7. All right, so we're going to move on here. We're going to switch gears just a little bit and talk about some NFL draft conspiracies that I have. What might take place that you might not see coming in next week's NFL draft? You do know we will be at Shay's Bar and Grill doing a live feed of the results of the first round next Thursday. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to having a couple beers with my boys and talking NFL draft. But these are some things that I think may happen on draft night. Now, some of them are pretty far-fetched. I'm not going to lie to you here, but, it's fun to speculate. So the first one I've got, I've been high on J.J. McCarthy throughout the draft process. I think his stock has slowly just risen and risen and risen. And now people are talking about he's going number 4 overall. Now, a lot of people have him going number 4 overall to the Giants. But I'm going to say the obvious thing here. Obviously, the Vikings are looking to move up. They have a big need at quarterback. What if they trade up with those 2 first-round picks they have to the Arizona Cardinals to move up to take J.J. McCarthy 4th overall? But on the flip side of this, you got the Arizona Cardinals who would have 4 first-round picks in this year's draft just to rebuild that entire team. I mean, you could get offensive linemen, you could get Kyler Murray wide receiver help, you could get elite defensive pieces if you're the Cardinals. So I don't know. I think that might happen. I think there's a great chance of that happening. Number 2, T. Higgins will be traded to the Carolina Panthers for their 2nd-round pick. The Bengals will also trade up to draft Brock Bowers. That's what I'm calling. T. Higgins did say today that he wanted to stay in Cincinnati. But if you're the Bengals, do you do that? Do you allocate that much money to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins when you have all these young pass catchers in this draft? That's a question that the Bengals management will have to answer. But I am predicting just a wild out there crazy prediction. T. Higgins will be traded to the Carolina Panthers for the first pick in the 2nd round of this year's draft. Michael Penix will go in the top 15. That's my number three NFL draft wild take, crazy conspiracy theory, if you will. You got Denver, you got the Raiders, you got the Saints. All three need a young prospect at quarterback. Michael Penix has been crushing it um, in the playoffs. He crushed it against Texas. Then he goes and crushes his pro day. He runs a 4.35. We look at the arm strength. He does have the injury history, but he was at a program at Indiana where you don't have the caliber of offensive lineman that he had at Washington. And you saw what he was able to do in those 2 seasons at Washington. When he's upright, he can get that ball anywhere on the field you want. His throws look the best in the draft to me personally, outside of Caleb Williams. And I'm sorry, I like Michael Penix. I think he goes top 15. I think it makes sense to a team like the Raiders. It makes sense to a team like the Saints. Definitely makes sense in Denver because what do you have in Denver right now? But I think Michael Penix goes top 15. All right. Last crazy conspiracy theory I've got here. Dallas Cowboys will take 2 offensive linemen with their first 3 picks because their offensive line is decimated. I know they need help at running back. They need help at wide receiver. They need help in the middle of the defense. But you got to protect your investment when it comes to Dak because I don't see a better option for the Cowboys if they want to win right now. There's nobody else out there for you, you know. They did not go after Lamar Jackson. They don't really have the firepower to trade up for one of these young guys. So I think they go offensive lineman with 2 of their first 3 picks because they need interior help and they need tackle help because Tyron Smith is gone. So I'm feeling Dallas going beefing up that offensive line in the draft. And the fight game this past weekend, we had UFC 300, and man, if you are a mixed martial arts fan, you were in for a treat. Just wanted to talk about 2 fights that really entertained me. Just a shout out to Max Holloway. Jesus, did you see the last second knockout of Justin Gaethje in their bout for the BMF belt? Holloway, Holloway's a legit Hall of Famer. We all know that, but he's a flyweight and he was fighting against a lightweight tonight. And a lot of people thought Max might have been outmatched. Um, Obviously, that was not the case. That was an absolute war. That was that was one of the most entertaining fights I've ever watched in my life. And if you have not watched it, do yourself a favor and YouTube it. Um, Shout out to Max Holloway, man. He's one of the goats. Also, that second fight, Alex Pereira knocking out Jamal Hill in the first round, and it wasn't even close. Um, Admittedly, I am an Israel Adesanya fan. I am a Stylebender fan. Pereira has been his kryptonite for years now. We all know that. But man, this guy Pereira, man, he slept him. He slept him. And I am anxious to see what he's going to do next. Could he be a 3 division champion one day? I don't know. I don't know what his aspirations are, but that is a bad man. Shout out to everyone that put on that UFC 300, man, because it was a very, very entertaining card. Um, we're going to get out of here. We're going to keep it short today. As you know, I like to do. I don't like to give you a whole monologue when it's just me on here, but I do have a special treat for you guys next week as my good friend Savvy G will be jumping on to dissect the draft with me, and we're gonna share it all with you. If you are a follower on the Let's Argue Facebook page, that is going to be at JAY.playhard. Give me a follow there, comment, tell me what you want to hear, tell me what you want to talk about, and we'll get to it. I appreciate all the support that we've been having so far. We also have the J Play Hard 1984 on TikTok. So you can kind of get some of the tidbits from the episodes there. if you are a TikToker, I'm learning it. I'm old. I'm 40, y'all. So I'm learning the TikTok game. I'm getting there. But yeah, man, this is Jay Play Hard, and I'm gonna let you go now. So you all have a great day, and let's get ready for these NBA playoffs.